Welcome everybody to Comedy on Tap. I'm your host Mark Bonto, and welcome to another episode. We have the next 15-20 minutes worth of a very, very funny guy. He hails from, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but he's been around the comedy circuit for a while. He is hilarious. He's done The Funny Spot shows more than a few times.
I can't wait to meet him. When's he coming?
When's he coming? Where is he? He's hilarious. He's actually one of The Funny Spot's favorites, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Welcome to the show. His name is Steve Hansen. Steve, welcome to Comedy on Tap.
Thank you, Mark. Nice to be here.
Yeah, you're not newcomer to. You do a podcast, don't you?
Yeah, it's a live internet radio show. Thursday nights from 7 to 9 on podcastdetroit.com, and then it's put up as a podcast.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So that's more of an audio thing.
It is an audio thing.
It is an audio thing. There's no video about it.
Not just more about it. Yeah. Once in a while, somebody pulls out a phone and does Facebook Live. But,
that's the most video you get.
Yeah.
So now I know you've done a lot of my shows.
Yes, I have.
My stand-up shows. You are amazing. You are hilarious. People love you. You're actually a Funny Spots, and I told you about this.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to blow smoke, but you're one of the Funny Spots favorites. Why people come to see it. So you've grabbed my. But you're like I said, you've got other venues, which we'll get into in a minute as well.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing stand-up?
Just over 2 years.
Just over 2 years?
Yeah.
Wow. And you're only 18 yourself.
Yeah. Just a pup.
And I know that you work as well.
I'm a lawyer.
You're a lawyer? What?
I'm an intellectual property lawyer.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know what type of
Yeah, intellectual property. Yeah.
intellectual property.
Patents, trademarks, and copyrights. That's what that is.
Oh, is that what that means?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, if I have
That's
any,
what that means. IP, a PI lawyer, that's an ambulance chaser, that's personal injury. Flip it, IP, that's intellectual property.
you use any of that? I never heard you.
That's good. A lot of great lawyer jokes. I don't know. I stay away from it. I like to be a comic on stage, and we have a lot of lawyers in the circuit.
Yeah, I know.
So some of them do Nick Ladorf will talk about stuff, but he's a criminal defense lawyer, so there's a lot of funny stuff.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of funny stuff doing patents.
Right, true. Yeah. Somebody brought a patent, I can't even think of a funny analogy. It's just...
No, it's
I'm
not
sure, but you can...
It's very serious.
I'm sure if you think about it.
Yeah.
So a couple years ago, you got into comedy. How? What happened, Steve?
Well, I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and I actually used to live in Los Angeles, and I even got a bunch of books, like how to write jokes and stuff, and I lived literally like a mile from the Comedy Store.
Really?
And I tried to get going, but my job was really, really demanding, and I couldn't do it, and then we moved back here. And I don't know, I finally got the itch to try it again. I took Bill Bouchard's class at the Comedy Castle in 2014, and then ever since then I've been off to the races. I can't get enough of it, really.
No, and I noticed that.
Yeah.
You're one of the busier guys in the whole circuit.
Just because I love doing it. I mean, I do it anywhere,
So did I miss it? Did you not? You didn't do it in California?
No, I did not. I mean, I have since. Like at Christmas, I went out and did a bunch of open mics and stuff. But no, when I lived there, I didn't do it.
So did you do any before you took the class?
No.
Really?
Never, yeah.
You hadn't been stand-up at all?
Not at all.
And you took a comedy class at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle with Bill Bouchard, and you said, and you took it and you got all A's?
Well, actually, I started trying to learn how to write about 5 or 6 months before the class started. So I really in earnest writing and editing and stuff like that. And so when I got to the class, I actually had some material developed, whereas a lot of people didn't. And that gave me a head start. And I did well at the graduation show, but I had 20 people there, and then the next time I went there, I didn't have the room stacked, and it was a little bit different response, but
So the first time you get out of class, you graduate, you get out of that. First time you ever hit a club is when? What happens?
It was August 6th, 2014. It was at the grad show, you mean? Or
No. After?
Well, after was back at the Comedy Castle. I got on the open mic like the week later.
So that was the first time out of...
After the grad class was the Comedy Castle again. And,
how did that go?
Not that great. I had a problem with my ear and everything, and I went out and I told a joke, and crickets, and I kind of forgot a couple of jokes because it freaked me out. Yeah. Because the grad show had been such a tremendous response, I wasn't really ready for that, and I kind of froze a little bit.
Right.
So that was,
brought you a little bit to reality.
Yeah, way into reality.
You needed a little bit, though.
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
needed
yeah.
to be brought on a little bit.
Well, I mean, bombing is a part of the process,
Good point.
I made a post last year. I said, in stand-up comedy, failure is not an option, it's mandatory. That's really the way it works.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah,
Good point. So from there, you started doing different shows around
where I
there.
could get on, but Joey's and Laugh Tracks and whatever showcases, and I discovered yours and got on your shows.
Right,
And
right.
I go to Lansing a lot. I really look for places where there's a non-comic audience, and I'm willing to drive if I can have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I find that closer to Detroit, that's harder. So if you get away from the city,
It's harder to find those type of venues.
where there's a non-comic audience. Yeah.
Gotcha. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And why is that?
I just think maybe it's too many entertainment opportunities that are in competition with what you're doing.
Uh-huh. So you do like travel. Now you're from Waterford?
I live in Waterford now,
Uh-huh,
yeah.
uh-huh.
I grew up
And
in
you-
Warlock, but I live in Waterford.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because whenever I introduce you, I never know where to say you're from.
Well, Waterford's right. That's where I've been living since 2005.
Okay. So and you travel all around to do this. Plus you have a job. Plus you have a family. I know about the 9 kids.
Yeah.
And the wife.
Yeah, it's actually 15 kids.
15.
It's 15 animals, it's not kids. But yeah, 9 cats, 3 dogs, and 3 rabbits.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why you always look so tired
Yeah.
whenever I see you at the show.
It's her, she fosters animals, all right, my wife, but she didn't learn that fostering means they're supposed to leave at some point. Like, she doesn't know what the difference between adoption and fostering, and so that's how we got 15 animals.
So she's got to learn, when to say goodbye.
Yeah,
To the kids.
basically. Yeah, when to kick them back.
Awesome. So now, like I said, you've done a lot of my shows.
Yes.
And so I know, but obviously the audience doesn't. What your style of comedy? At the Funny Spot shows, like I said, you are a favorite. You're hilarious. I have had a couple of people say you've got like a. Someone said like a Rodney Dangerfield, which I don't know if I really agree with or not.
It's probably just because of my age and my my build. I don't think that's my style.
But I do see kind of a one-liner-ish in your jokes.
I build bits out of. I do have some one-liners, and some of my best things are probably those. But I do try to build longer bits. I'm not like Rodney Dangerfield in the sense I don't stand up there and do like 100 disconnected one-liners.
Right.
I don't do that.
Right. Well, how would you describe your comedy? Observational? It's not one-liners, but it's.
There's some one-liners. I don't know. I don't know. I think I have a little bit of a angry old man attitude when I do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I probably just joke about what the things that frustrate me and
Right.
stuff.
Sure. So it's true. It's just real feelings that come.
Yeah. It is. It's all stuff that really comes up. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Were you funny growing up? You're hilarious. Now, were you always?
Well, my brother and my dad and I used to sit around and just riff all the time.
Yeah.
And so, my brother's really funny too. My dad was not here anymore, but he was really funny. So, that was kind of how it all started. We would just sit around and trade shots at each other and tell jokes until my mom came in and wrecked it. And then,
When you say trade jokes, were they street jokes or were they?
No, it was really, I don't know. We'd be watching TV and we'd see something and someone would make a joke about it and someone would respond to it, or we would talk about, just riffing on whatever we could think of that came up, really, and it was that bantering back and forth and trying to one-up each other and kind of tag each other's jokes. We didn't know their tags, we didn't know that name, but that process, I think really developed a sense of humor.
Yeah.
I got in trouble at school a lot because of it, because my dad said, if you have a joke, just say it and apologize.
So he didn't want you being funny in school, per se.
No, he did. He just said, say it and apologize.
Oh, I see.
He's like, you don't ever sit on it, just let it out.
Yeah.
That's basically what he said. He had a detention record in his high school in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts.
Really?
Because of his smart mouth. Yeah.
Really?
So he really had no moral authority to say anything. So
Detention record being like
being kept after school.
Right.
Yeah. So he had the largest number of times
Right.
in that school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was his father. My grandfather was very proud. Yeah, he was very proud.
So you didn't follow. When like I said, I know your comedy and I know your stuff, which is hilarious. Where do you come up with this stuff? Your stuff.
Oh.
Is there a place or a thing you're doing that inspires you, or is there Anything that you particularly...
I will tell you that I know like what my mindset is when I come up with this stuff. It's like I'm not in any particular place, but most of the time when I come up with stuff, I'm tired. Maybe a little edgy and angry. Like when I'm angry, I start riffing and come up with stuff, and something I'll just see stuff happen in my life, and then I'll spit something out. And go, oh my god, that I like that, and I'll go write it down, and I carry a notebook around, or I spit into my recorder on my phone.
Right. They say to do that.
That's most of it. Now sometimes I will actually try to just develop. I'll have an idea and I'll just try to develop it, and I'll actually do what they call free writing, which is like you're not writing jokes, you're just writing about the topic. And you're just basically trying to get the wheels in motion, and then I find later the jokes come if you've done that work and sat down and I learned that because Mitch Hedberg's wife released his notebooks, and she said that that's what he used to do.
Really?
And then I opened for Tom Simmons at Joey's, and I was MC, and he said he did that too. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
So it's like a keyword, and then you just go off of that?
Well, it's not necessarily a keyword. I have one book by Judy Carter, and I for premises, which is really what you're talking about.
Right.
It's the premise. I actually kind of think of her formulation, which is think of something that's weird. What is it? Weird, hard, or stupid. Like things that are like, or that fall in those categories,
right.
And those are the things that prompt. I won't just like look at a word necessarily, but I also do some exercises. Like my wife and I will play a free association game where she'll spit a word out, and I will rapidly do free association.
Does that help a lot?
Yeah, I find it does. I think a lot of comedy is really coming up with a logical but unexpected association between two things, and I find that if my mind is, if I'm doing it in this rapid fire way, I come up with stuff. Whereas if I'm sitting and ploddingly trying to write associations down,
doesn't work.
It's too linear and it's too predictable.
So Lisa sits down and says, "Come on, let's sit down, rabbit," and then you say something. Is that how it works?
Just keep spitting stuff out until I run dry. I just really like. Yeah, it was a game we played in the car once, and I would just say stuff, and it was cracking her up, and now I've gotten to the point where I can kind of do it on my own, but I try to get in that mindset. So I do all those different. I do a multitude of different things to try to generate material.
Yeah,
basically.
That's an interesting. I never heard of that before.
I hadn't either, but it made sense to me. Lots of books I have talk about ways to develop associations. They're usually listing techniques, like have a topic, list people, places, things, cliches, and all that stuff. And I've done that, but I wasn't getting anywhere. And for some reason, this game just started happening. I don't know how we started doing it, but it occurred to me that my brain is working differently when I'm spitting out stuff very quickly and rapid fire versus when I'm sitting down with a piece of paper and writing. And I come up with the funnier, more obtuse connections between the things.
And maybe it's because you're a cerebral guy, your job, and you use your...
Well, I'm an engineer and a lawyer, because most patent lawyers are, and so I'm intensely analytical, which is great for the job. It's not good for comedy, because for comedy you don't want real linear connections. You want non-linear, obscure connections between things that people aren't thinking of.
Right.
And so I kind of had to overcome that mode of thought. So that's a very deep explanation into my comedy process. That's led me here to a basement in Flint Saturday afternoon. By the way, when an Italian guy invites you to a basement in Flint, I don't know, a lot of things go through your mind.
A lot of things go through.
There may be an FBI van outside later. So that's all I'm saying. I saw what happened to Joe Pesci in Goodfellas.
That's all I can say. Yeah. Well, you took the challenge, and Uncle Guido is waiting, just to let you know. Awesome. I like that. You started doing more and more shows. Are you traveling? We mentioned earlier you're going around doing these different bits. I know you've grown as a comedian. You've grown. Your set is getting longer and expand. You're not doing this. Are you doing the same set everywhere?
Oh no. I think of it more as like I have a palette of bits, and when I have a show, I will take a guess at what the room's going to be like, and I'll make the set. But when I walk in and see what the room's like, I'll usually call audibles and start shifting things around and change the set based on what... Because I play a lot of shows full of people under 30.
Right.
And then I do your shows, which are people more my age, right? So the demographic is very different, and unfortunately, you just tell a joke that'll work with my age group, and the 20-year-olds will just stare at you blankly. They don't get it. You know?
Are you ever surprised by an audience? You know, a bunch of the kids who cling on to in like our type of or even an older generation that tends to like the dirtier stuff. You ever come or do you?
Rooms where they want you to dirty?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so when Joey's was around, they tended to go for the dirtier stuff.
Right.
In fact, once I was up there, and I wasn't doing well, right? And I stopped, and I said, all right. I said, I can see the intellectual stuff's not going to work with you people. And I told them the most lowbrow, dirty joke I've ever written, and they roared. And I kind of looked at them and said, that's what I figured.
And you said this out loud.
I said it out loud.
And that's what I love about Steve. You will say.
I said it out loud. Yeah. I wanted them to know. Like I just wanted. I'm like, okay, you're making me do this, and I did it, and I got to laugh. And
I think that's a real. It's a great attribute that you have. A lot of comedians will hold back. They'll think it. All right. Well, this isn't my type of crowd. So you guys are pornographic, so I'm going to give you pornographic stuff, but you say that.
Yeah.
And that's funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I like that when you kind of acknowledge what's happening in the room in the process.
And they like it too.
Well, I find that audiences really like when you address or acknowledge anything that's happening in real time where they are. In fact, I talk to other comics, and my kind of theory is that if you do something based on what's really happening in the room, it doesn't really it can be like half as funny as a prepared joke and get the same laugh.
Right.
Because it's just so meaningful to them that you're acknowledging what their real-time experience is in the moment.
Yeah.
That's been what I
And they love that.
Yeah.
And
so the joke can be really simple or easy, but it's because it's what they're going through, and they're going to roar.
Well, because you're so spontaneous, are you good with the crowd?
I'm working on that. I wouldn't say I mean, yes and no. I still am not as spontaneous as other people, and there's some phenomenally good crowd work comics around here. Probably for me, Josh Adams is one of the best I've ever seen because he can go for like 20 minutes and never tell a real joke.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But I survey the room before I go up, and I look for things I can kind of riff off of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked with Kevin Zioli by any chance?
Yep, a couple of times.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, some of these guys do nothing but crowd work,
basically,
and they're amazing. They're crazy.
Kevin's that way too. Yeah.
But but like I said, I really like your type of comedy, and as a lot of people do. You are so funny on stage. But you're doing a little bit more now than just comedy rooms, right? Like my room and other rooms. You're also hosting rooms. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I had been hosting Woody's Comedy Night in Royal Oak from November until July, and then the management decided they weren't making the level of money that they wanted, and so they pulled the plug on that. But now Billy Reno, another comic, and I are starting a show in Oxford. Our first one's September 21st. At Sullivan's Pub, which is right on Lapeer Road there in Oxford.
Yep.
And so we're going to do that, and probably look for some other shows to do together. And I mean, I'm not trying to do what you do, which is like spend a lot of my time running shows, but I do find it helps advance your stand-up comedy career if you've had at least one.
Yeah,
that's the way it is now. It's a very do-it-yourself environment now.
Yeah, well, that's interesting you say that. I mean, because I know I've got like 6 monthly comedy rooms now. I really, but to me, it's a lot of hard work. It seems like if I could hit more clubs and not do that, it seems to me like that would be beneficial.
There's not that many clubs.
No,
clubs are dying. So most of the shows that are going on in what the places you're doing, in bars, restaurants, VFWs, American Legion halls, and and it's a major networking thing when you have a show and you're booking the comics too.
So the Woody's thing, though, I thought it turned into something else, and you're continuing that. That's not.
Well, it was personally the comics and the audience and I were all really happy with it and thought it was going well.
Right.
They had a couple of summer months where they just broke even and thought that was not good enough.
Oh,
and they pulled. Really what happened is there was a manager who got involved who didn't like the level of responsibility that entailed, and she didn't want to have to do it. And
gotcha.
They weren't making enough money to keep her happy with it.
Billy's also doing another room, too.
Billy runs the Hamlin Pub in Shelby Township every month, and I'm there tomorrow night featuring for Bill Bouchard.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Now, you've done these pro shows, right? Tell us a little bit about that. Now, it's not just I consider my show more showcases. That's what I
Right, yeah, it is, yeah.
All right, good, thank you. But definitely not open mics. But But then there's the next step up, which is like a pro show, opener, a feature, a headliner,
done
which
a
is
couple,
what you're doing tomorrow. Have you done?
Yeah, well, I emceed a weekend at Joey's right before it shut down, and that's when Tom Simmons was the headliner. I emceed a weekend at the Comedy Castle in February for Darren Rose.
Have you been at the Holly Hotel?
No, not yet. I have I need a feature. The features bring the MC, so I need to connect with a feature who wants to bring me his MC.
Okay.
But I'd like to do that, yeah.
Oh.
And then I've done shows.
Well, I would think you would be a feature.
Well, I guess I'd have to convince Connie of that. I've only met her once. I did a show at her big time.
I'll talk to Connie.
Yeah.
You be the feature. You get me as your MC. We'll find a headliner.
Boom. Sounds
We're
good.
right there.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Again, Steve is hilarious. We've got about 5 minutes left, so I want to make sure we cover everything. I want to cover where we can get a hold of your stuff, but. You know, doing it, I've done it 38 years, so I've got a lot of experiences.
Yeah.
But I know, and like I said, you're very, very rounded for only doing it 2 years. I don't know if it's the age or the fact that you're so mature, but tell me, you gotta have some stories. Maybe a quick story, maybe something, a backstory. Don't look at me like that. I told you I was gonna ask that. Maybe something that happened with the comics, behind the scenes, on stage. Is there anything that pops out? There's gotta be something.
Is there anything that pops out that happened like that?
Something on stage, maybe. I don't know. Is there?
Wow, I'm getting stuck.
getting
I
stuck.
haven't really had
Well,
too many odd experiences like that. I mean, I did tell a joke once. I was doing a set at the Comedy Castle, and somebody didn't think I was funny and started running around yelling, "Hey, fat boy," and eventually left the club. And I don't know what was wrong with him, but something happened there. But I don't really get heckled,
right.
so like other comics do. So I haven't really had too many. I mean, I've definitely done shows where I've showed up and like nobody's been there. You know,
Sure.
I've done several of those. But
Well, that's a story within itself. I performed one time in front of 2 people
Yeah.
who had seen my show the night before.
Really?
So I'll never forget that story. I mean, they were responsive the first show.
Yeah.
Well, what are they going to think the second show?
Yeah.
No?
There
Okay.
hasn't been- I just haven't had any of these, like really weird interactions with the audience. I think somebody told me that my demeanor on stage maybe lessens the likelihood that I'm going to face that compared to
What
some.
about no backstories? No, you're coming up to the stage, you trip? No women giving you phone numbers beforehand? Lisa, it's just a story.
No, boy,
Nothing?
nothing. No, nothing.
Wow.
I haven't had any.
You've had a pretty good career.
No one
so
has. No, I'm not getting. I'm not getting groupies. I'm not getting. I'm not falling down. I haven't had to go to the bathroom right before my set and had that happen. I know people have had to do that. Yeah, no, it's been relatively smooth sailing except for the occasional bombing.
What are your goals? Do you have any goals?
Yeah, I mean, I want to get to a point where I can live, support myself doing this. I want to do clubs around the Midwest, and eventually I plan on going back to Los Angeles because we have a condo there, and I want to live there full time and I hope that I can get things taking off before I move back.
So maybe put the legal thing aside
Eventually,
and
yeah.
kind of pursue this.
That's what I want to do.
Well,
That's
good
the
luck.
goal. Yeah.
I hope it goes well.
Yeah,
How can you get a hold of you? Now, of course, you said tomorrow night this isn't going to air until after that.
Oh, okay.
But you can. But where else? Just around the area? How do they get a hold of you?
Okay, well, my main point of contact is my Facebook page. Steve Hansen Comedy is my Facebook.
That's a comedy page.
It's actually my personal page, but I just use it for comedy because there's different rules for Facebook when you make it a comics page, and it's harder. So I didn't do that. But all I really use it for is comedy. So I put all my shows on there. It is Steve Hansen Comedy is the name of it. So that's the kind of central location for everything.
Okay.
I'm on Twitter, Stephen R. Hansen with a V.
With a V, remember that?
Yeah, you can do that. So those are the main points of contact. Every Thursday night from 7 to 9 at podcastdetroit.com. I'm on the 5 Gears show, and I'm kind of the comedy guy for that. And
Let's say that again so they can hear it.
5 Gears. is
5
the
Gears.
show.
The numeral 5.
The numeral 5,
Gears.
IVE. Yeah, our website for the show is the numeral 5, IVEGEARS.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Every Thursday
Thursday night at 7 o'clock.
Perfect.
I'm there.
Well, there you go. An hour ago in this area. This TV show airs at Thursday night at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So you were on an hour ago. You were hilarious.
Yes, I'm sure I was. And then it's podcasted, so you can listen to it anytime you want.
Perfect. That's great. Steve, thanks so much for coming
Thanks
by.
for having me.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. You know, we had a little the weather with the rain and everything.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, it's good to be here.
Check him out, Steve Hansen, comedian here in the Michigan area, and he is just. I guarantee you will, and I'm not blowing smoke, be clutching your stomach listening to this guy. He's got great material.
Thank you very
I
much.
love it. Thanks again, Steve. All right, we're done for this week, folks. This has been Mark Bonto for Comedy on Tap. Join us again next week. Everyone have a funny night. Good night, everyone.